The big bang for MH Genesis is upon us. Warning, this is going to be a highly informative and beneficial video for all applicants processing into the United States military in dealing with this new MHS Genesis. MHS Genesis officially starts March 10th. Nationwide, as previously described in an earlier video, and that first video will be linked down below in the description. I will do my best to keep this video as short and sweet as possible. In this video, I will be covering the following: updates pertaining to the correct acronyms I made during my educational guesses in the original video prior to this one. More information on systems that report to or sourced for Genesis review during the pre-screening process. Updates to concerns to shippers, new applicants, or pending applicants that have or have not completed all medical requirements for MEPS before and after 10 March of 2022, which is the launch date for Genesis. My thoughts on should you disclose or not disclose your medical history. Be proactive. MHS Genesis is just records, not clearance statements from doctors and or applicants. What happens if you now disclose your medical history after passing the MEPS medical exam? And bonus insights on the medical waiver on pre-existing medical conditions.
Here we go! What's up, everybody? Welcome back here to Team Swartz, and if this is your first time here, welcome to my channel. Here I post a ton of Army basic training tips, recruiting, and other Army-related videos, to include going live weekly to address your most desired questions and concerns. Hi, my name is Lewis, your local New York Army National Guard's full-time recruiter and part-time drill sergeant by day. But on my free time in the evenings and weekends, I come on here to create said content to help you make a well-informed decision throughout the enlistment process into the United States Army as a whole, or to prepare yourselves both mentally and physically for Army basic training. So without further ado, let's begin. So after I posted my original video on MHS Genesis, I was bombarded with a crap ton of additional questions and concerns surrounding Genesis and how this is going to impact future applicants processing into the United States military, and for those who joined past medical and are waiting to ship out to Army basic training. So make sure you stick through this entire video. After I posted my original video, I was approached by a very nice lady. She works actually as a policy advisor for the Military Entrance Processing Command at one of the 12 locations that had a soft rollout to the new MHS Genesis system. She corrected me on some of the educated guesses that I had in dealing with some of the acronyms that were in the original video that I posted based on the slideshow, the documentation that I had received back in February. So she corrected me on that and provided me some additional insights to directly address some of those questions and concerns that y'all be posting down below in the comment section beneath that original video, and my direct messages on Instagram, which is a great place to hit me up for your personal questions without putting your personal business out on a public forum. Here's some dialogue. She actually invited me to a national virtual briefing on anything dealing with MHS Genesis for later this month. So make sure you stick around for future updates. Due to my ability to deep dive and research for MHS Genesis, my company commander actually watched my previous video and thought that it would be a good idea for me to attend and sit in our in-person briefing at our local MEPS here at Fort Hamilton in Brooklyn, New York, to listen in on their briefing on Genesis and ask any additional questions or concerns that y'all have or that we have as recruiters, so on and so forth. So anything that I don't cover in this video or in the previous one, and if you have any additional questions, be sure to comment them down below in the comment section, or direct message me on Instagram at TeamSwartzMedia, so that when I go to this meeting after 10 o'clock on Monday, I'll be able to ask your questions and do an updated video if applicable. I don't know everything, and I know a little bit of something about something, but I am not afraid to admit when I get something wrong, and that's why I give you my educated guesses based on what I had in the moment. So with that being said, I'm gonna correct some of the acronyms and their proper definitions of the from the previous video. So EHR is actually your electronic health record. Moving forward, we are moving and transitioning from a paper system to a paperless system. In the previous video, I said HIE was for the Health Insurance Exchange Program or software system or what have you. It's actually the Health Information Exchange software system. I also said, based on my educated guess, that RPS stood for Reception Processing Station or Site, and it actually means Remote Processing Site. What that means is a remote processing site is actually a mini MEPS that does some of the tasks that a main primary MEPS does, but it does not accomplish all medical tasks to complete a successful medical exam from MEPS. So more to follow on that particular topic. Talk about these systems that are reporting to MHS Genesis as far as your electronic medical records. So in the previous video, I said that it was restricted to Epic and HI. If you don't know what those are, go watch the video. The link is down below in the original video about MHS Genesis. With that being said, this young lady from the MEPS policy advisor, right, with their command, informed me there's actually over 100 different medical record reporting systems that will be sourced and being able to pull from for MHS Genesis, starting with Alta all the way down through Epic and HI and all that good stuff and everything in between. So it is in your best interest to assume that they're gonna have eyes on all, if not most, of your medical records. Those of you that process medically outside of the country of the United States or in a rural area where their technology is not up to par or snuff, then there may be onesies and twosies of things in your pre-existing medical history that may not be visible to the doctor. So just assume that the MEPS CMO, Chief Medical Officer, can see your medical records when completing your pre-screen packet. Actually, I'm going to be addressing some of the concerns that applicants or potential applicants and enlistees who are waiting to ship out to basic training. Starting with shippers with a good and valid medical exam. You are good to go. Genesis is not going to be pulled because you have a good medical exam on file. However, if you are a shipper that for one reason or another has a pending or is pending to get medically cleared and have to go back to MEPS for an inspect prior to clearing you and rescheduling you or renegotiating your ship date, your medical file will be pulled into Genesis. Now, if you have a completed medical exam with no additional medical issues to get resolved, and you completed everything before 10 March of 2022, your record will not be pulled by Genesis. Now, if you have an incomplete, unfinished medical exam at MEPS, or even if you completed the medical exam, if you have any pending medical issue, whether you are required to conduct and complete a consultation, a medical consultation, or you have to source medical records and clearance memorandums and letters from your doctor and so on and so forth, if you have anything pending and is not completed before 10 March of 2022, your information will be pulled from Genesis. Last but not least, what we all already expect, if you are conducting a medical exam, anything medically related on or after 10 March of 2022, you will be subjected to an MHS Genesis pull. With that being said, may the MEPS gods forever be in your favor. Seriously, you'll be alright. In this section, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on whether or not you should disclose or not disclose your medical pre-existing conditions or history. So with that being said, I had a ton of direct messages asking me, what should I do? What should I do? I don't care who you are, I don't know you, what have you, but I am bound by regulatory guidance that you must, and I recommend that you do the right thing and disclose your pre-existing medical conditions or history when going through the pre-screening process and submitting your pre-screen packets. I cannot tell you to lie or lie by omission or anything of the sort because I it's not worth me losing my job and getting a recruiter impropriety because I told you to lie. Simple as that. So it is in your best interest to assume that MEPS can view your medical history and annotate anything that you can recall or remember. Obviously, due to human error, you may legitimately forget something minor or what have you, but do not lie by omission or withhold medical pre-existing conditions or history that you are aware of or privy to that could get you either temporarily or permanently disqualified. When you submit your pre-screen packet, one of two things will happen. One is that all of your medical records are visible by MEPS to make a determination if you are process authorized, continue to process, if otherwise eligible to move forward, or return justified, meaning that there is something of significance in your past. Maybe it's missing something, or they would like to get a letter of clearance from a doctor or yourself, further investigating that particular issue that was identified through your record at MEPS, or what you disclose on your own that they see, but they want more documentation if possible. Now, option two is, let's say you submit your pre-screen packet and Genesis does not have or see the medical records pertaining to what you self-admitted on your pre-screen. So additional documentation and medical records, supporting medical records, will need to be sourced by you. The proof, the burden of proof is on the applicant. The recruiter can assist, but at the end of the day, the burden of proof is on the applicant to clear your medical history. As previously described, if there's any discrepancies with Genesis or something that you self-disclose or self-admit on your pre-screen packet that's not in Genesis or vice versa, your process will be halted and delayed until the supporting medical documentation or the resources are resubmitted to MEPS to continue the process. In this section, I'm gonna be talking to you about being proactive, preferably proactive from the very beginning, from the jump with your recruiter if you are disclosing a potential pre-existing condition or issue. Note: if it is recommended or requested or required by a recruiter or by MEPS to obtain clearance letters or memorandums from your doctor, specialist, or what have you, it is in your best interest to be proactive and obtain these letters prior to or in the process of completing your pre-screen packet to process at MEPS for your medical exams, because it can be used for medical waivers in the future if determined if you are temporarily or permanently disqualified at MEPS. Well, a rock solid doctor letter on official letterhead or memorandum with the official letterhead of the facility, your doctor, what have you, right? The letter needs to state that you were diagnosed with ABC here, you were treated by XYZ and cleared by this date here. That since then, you've displayed, right, 0 signs or symptoms since that date moving forward to current date while under their care or what have you, to their knowledge. And that based on their perception of your evaluation and all that good stuff, that they don't perceive you having any physical limitations or restrictions to conduct physical activities for the military that could include but not limit to crawling, walking, running, kneeling, jumping, climbing, sprinting, what have you, even under heavy load, with, again, no limitations or restrictions, and that you are otherwise perceived to be a healthy human being. That would be a very, very strong clearance memorandum or letter from your doctor and or specialist. And again, if you're going to your normal regular doctor, it's not gonna have the same amount of weight unless you're dealing with an actual specialist that deals with that. So let's say you got a letter from a general practitioner, right? Regular medical doctor, like your normal routine doctor, stating that your back pain is fine, whatever, right? Is gonna be totally different and viewed differently by the MEPS CMO, your chief medical officer from your MEPS, right? From the specialist who is a spine surgeon who specializes in this area, right? So that specialist is going to outweigh the opinion of a general medical practitioner, if that makes sense. Oh, that if you have a really, really old pre-existing medical condition or issue from your history, like let's say you did something in 2010 and we're now in 2022, it is in your best interest to get reevaluated, retested of that issue, right? And supply that memorandum and letter so that you have an updated evaluation of said pre-existing condition or issue. right? Because you're gonna have a much less favorable consideration if you're just gonna use and leverage the old records. So get a new updated evaluation and test to increase the chances of getting a favorable result by the CMO or your branch of service if it goes to an actual medical waiver. Also understand that if your pre-screen packet is approved to conduct a medical exam, if you do in fact have a pre-existing condition that warrants the CMO to want further investigation on their part to send you on a medical consultation with their contracted specialist to look into your issue, then they're gonna weigh your records versus their new records through their contracted medical facility or what have you, and make a determination from there if you are good to go, process authorized, if you're otherwise eligible to enlist, move forward. Or you're gonna be TDQ'd or PDQ'd, meaning that you are temporarily or permanently disqualified, and from there they're going to recommend a medical waiver or what have you. Permanently disqualified, no waivers recommended, there's nothing we could do for you unless you get more new medical evidence to consider for the MEPS CMO. Now, if you are TDQ'd or PDQ'd but a medical waiver is recommended, right? That medical waiver is going to get submitted by the branch of service, and it is up to that CMO of the branch of service in which you are trying to enlist into to make a favorable decision on to approving your medical waiver or to disapprove it. If it's disapproved, that's it, you're a done deal. That's it, unless you again have new medical evidence for the MEPS or the CMO to review and to consider in their decision-making process. In this section, I'm going to address what happens now that you want to disclose your medical condition after you've already successfully passed the medical exam. So let's say you find Jesus and you omitted or blatantly lied about your medical history and you want to now disclose it. What happens from here? So when disclosing pre-existing medical conditions or history prior to shipping out to Army basic training, you're going to be at first TDQ'd, temporarily disqualified, pending supporting medical documentation and clearance letters or memorandums from the doctors and your applicant statement to clear you, and if recommended, a medical waiver. If approved, you will then be renegotiated if required and go on to Army basic training. However, if your medical waiver is denied, you will be processed for discharge. Now, if you decide to ship out to Army basic training and if somehow identified through an injury or illness throughout Army basic training or your initial entry training or later on in your military career, and they identify that you did in fact have a pre-existing injury or condition, then you will be processed out of the military and discharged as a fraudulent enlistment for lying or lying by omission during your pre-accession medical exam at MEPS at time or during your medical exam during your enlistment process. I'll be covering bonus insights or information on how medical waivers work and how that impacts your retirement or discharge from the United States military pertaining to pre-existing conditions or medical history at time of enlistment or throughout your career. But if you do it the right way and you actually disclose your pre-existing condition or history at time of enlistment and you get cleared by MEPS, or let's say they require you to submit and get an approval for a medical waiver that does in fact get approved at time of retirement, when you leave the military, when you're getting evaluated to receive any form of percentage of a VA, Veterans Affairs disability benefit, anything that you had as a pre-existing condition or medical history is not going to be factored into those types of benefits. However, as a normal soldier or service member at time of retirement or when you get discharged, as long as your physical being is at the same condition that you enlisted as, then you are good to go. No benefits will be afforded to you. However, if your condition, your medical condition is degraded or you run into issues, injuries, line of duty, so on and so forth, if you're at less than your normal condition when you enlisted and you're somewhere down here, you may be eligible for compensation through the VA benefits or disability as a result of being at a lesser condition than when you first joined the military. Talk about LODs, line of duty. At some point throughout your career, you may be subjected to being injured while on duty. And if you complete an LOD packet, make sure that you secure a copy of anything you sign, especially for an LOD. It's gonna be a lot easier now with this new MHS Genesis. Everything will be uploaded automatically at your fingertips, but don't depend on the system. Always make sure you secure copies of anything that you sign, especially LODs, because if you get checked out of the military due to an LOD, right, during service, right, you're gonna be subjected to being eligible for VA compensation through the VA disability benefit. So, additionally, you have to be honorably discharged. You have to receive an honorable discharge, not a general discharge, uncharacterized discharge, general discharge, or other than honorable or under honorable conditions. It's got to be an honorable discharge, okay? And with that said, if you made it this far to the video, do me a favor, it helps the algorithm. Hit that like button, smash it if that's something you're into, subscribe if you haven't already, especially if you want to receive additional updates to Genesis or anything else pertaining to the enlistment process, or to prepare yourselves both mentally and physically for our basic training. You're the real ones that made it to this point of the video, so do me a favor, drop a hashtag TeamSwartz down below, please, for the love of God, help a brother out. And I'll see you next time.